keep telling y'all, street got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going.
The sun was barely up when the blogs exploded with the headline, Boosie Badazz facing 10 years in federal case. Within minutes, Charleston White was already online, smiling like it was Christmas morning. For him, this wasn't just news, it was personal entertainment. While Boosie's world was spinning with lawyers, charges, and faith, Charleston was on livestream, celebrating like he'd just hit the lottery. He laughed, cracked jokes, and said straight up that he had been waiting for this moment. "I knew this day would come," he bragged to thousands of viewers. "I told y'all Boosie wasn't gone, beat the system." It was a twisted moment. One man staring down a possible decade in prison, another treating it like a victory parade. Boosie, real name Torrance Hatch, had been fighting his case for nearly 3 years. It started back in 2021 when he was pulled over and found with a firearm, a serious problem since he was already a convicted felon. At first, things looked bright. In 2023, the case was dismissed, and fans celebrated, thinking Boosie had finally escaped the storm. But the feds had other plans. In 2024, the same case came roaring back, this time under federal court. Prosecutors pushed harder, determined to make something stick. The weight of it all broke him down. On social media, Boosie admitted he was tired of fighting, that the back and forth with the system had drained every ounce of energy he had left. "God don't make mistakes," he posted. "I'm tired of fighting." Those words hit different. This wasn't the same loud, fearless Boosie fans had known for decades. This was a man exhausted spiritually, mentally, and physically. And while he prayed and tried to find peace, Charleston White was doing the complete opposite. He jumped on camera, full of energy, calling Boosie's downfall God's work. He laughed at the situation, made wild predictions about Boosie's future behind bars, and bragged that he'd seen it coming all along. Even his own followers started feeling uncomfortable. Charleston wasn't new to controversy. He built his entire online persona around it. Loud, reckless, unfiltered. That's his brand. But this time, it felt darker. It wasn't just jokes, it was personal. To understand why, you have to rewind to late 2022, the moment their beef really caught fire. That year, Kanye West sparked national outrage by wearing a White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie, never one to stay quiet, called Kanye out publicly for disrespecting the Black community. Many fans agreed with Boosie, but Charleston White wasn't one of them. He jumped online that same day, defending Kanye and blasting Boosie for speaking up. It started as a disagreement, but quickly turned into something way uglier. Charleston didn't just go after Boosie. He went after his family. He dragged Boosie's teenage son, Tootie Raw, into the mix, mocking him on live streams, calling him names, even predicting the boy would end up in jail like his daddy. Then he added fuel by bringing T.I.'s son, King Harris, into the drama, calling both kids spoiled and weak. It was low, even for Charleston. Fans called it out immediately, but he didn't stop. Boosie stayed surprisingly calm through all of it. He told interviewers that he couldn't risk responding emotionally, not with the system already watching his every move. In one conversation with Tony the Closer, he explained that reacting the wrong way could destroy everything he'd been trying to rebuild. "Once you go to threatening people's kids," he said, "you out of line. I can't get tricked out my position." Behind that calm voice, though, you could tell he was boiling inside. Then things got even messier. Early in 2023, Boosie's son Tootie clapped back online, calling Charleston old, dusty, and desperate for attention. Charleston lost it. He went on live again, crossing a new line, wishing harm on Tootie and mocking Boosie's health. Fans couldn't believe it. A few weeks later, Tootie Raw was arrested in an incident involving firearms. The very same day, Charleston popped up online taking credit, claiming he had called the police and sent in tips. He even said he'd reported photos to the Department of Public Safety, like he was part of the case himself. That was the breaking point. The beef wasn't just online anymore, it was spilling into real life. And then, the unthinkable happened. Boosie himself was arrested again, this time in San Diego, right outside a courtroom. The internet froze. Fans couldn't believe it. But before Boosie's mugshot even made the news, Charleston White was already live, shouting Bible verses and claiming it was divine justice. He thought God was going to save him from that pistol charge. Charleston laughed. But God don't protect no street dudes. It was cold. Boosie's supporters were furious, saying Charleston had gone too far, but that didn't stop him. Every new headline became another victory lap for him. By mid-2023, Boosie had had enough. On Vlad TV, he told the world he didn't even want Charleston on the same platform. It ain't about fear, Boosie said firmly. It's about principle. You don't talk about people's kids. Still, Charleston wasn't done. In early 2024, he claimed Boosie was blacklisting him from events, warning promoters not to book him. He went live again, saying he'd tipped off federal agents just to make sure Boosie stayed under watch. And while Boosie was quietly trying to hold his life together, Charleston was out there playing puppet master, keeping the drama alive, one live stream at a time. Fans started wondering if Charleston's obsession had gone beyond trolling. Some said he was jealous. Others thought he genuinely believed he was part of some mission from God. Whatever the truth was, he clearly enjoyed watching Boosie's downfall more than anything. But for Boosie, it wasn't just a legal fight anymore. It was a spiritual one. Every post, every interview showed a man tired of being haunted by his past, tired of seeing his family dragged into headlines, tired of being the target of ridicule. And maybe that's why he took the plea deal. Not because he was guilty, but because he was done fighting ghosts. Right now, he's still free, waiting for sentencing. But the reality is grim. Up to 10 years in federal time. And Charleston White? He's still online, laughing, preaching, and calling it karma. To him, this isn't tragedy, it's a show. A stage he's been performing on for years. But the story isn't over. The streets are watching. Fans are waiting. And deep down, everyone knows, when that final gavel drops, Charleston's reaction will be louder than ever. The only question is, will Boosie ever get the peace he's been praying for? The story didn't end when Charleston White laughed at Boosie's arrest. That was just the beginning of the next storm. Because the moment Charleston hit that go live button again, he didn't realize he was walking straight into the biggest backlash of his career. At first, everything looked like it always did. Charleston was all smiles, talking reckless, claiming victory over Boosie like it was a championship game. His followers were hyped in the comments, dropping laughing emojis and calling it karma. But as the clip spread, the internet flipped. People started turning on him fast. See, the culture might laugh at drama, but they still know when somebody's taking it too far. And that's exactly what Charleston did. He didn't just clown Boosie. He mocked his faith, his health, and even his family. Clips started popping up where he laughed about Boosie's kids crying online, calling it content gold. But instead of going viral in a funny way, it went viral in a dangerous one. Celebrities, fans, even Charleston's usual supporters began calling him out. The comments went from facts to "you've crossed the line, bro." Within hours, #CharlestonWhiteExposed was trending. Old videos, screenshots, and receipts started flooding back, people digging up every reckless thing he'd ever said. And that's when things really started to shift. While Charleston was running his mouth, Boosie's team was moving in silence. Sources close to his camp started leaking that he wasn't done yet, that he had plans to drop one of the most emotional interviews of his career. And when it finally hit, fans saw a different Boosie. No chains, no flashy talk, no anger. Just raw honesty. Sitting across from the interviewer, Boosie opened up like never before. He said, "Man, I ain't perfect. I've made mistakes, but I'm tired of people preying on my downfall." He spoke about losing trust, losing sleep, and losing people who once swore they were real. But most of all, he talked about finding peace even in the middle of chaos. His voice cracked when he mentioned his kids, especially Tootie, saying he didn't want his son to grow up thinking revenge was strength. "Sometimes, being quiet takes more power than clapping back," he said. That clip hit the internet like wildfire. Even people who weren't fans of Boosie felt it. Because in that moment, it wasn't about fame or money. It was about a man who'd been through it all and still stood tall. Meanwhile, Charleston was still talking. But this time, his voice wasn't hitting like before. His lives weren't pulling the same numbers. His usual followers were starting to check out. And every time he mentioned Boosie's name, people flooded the comments with prayer emojis instead of laughs. The energy had shifted. Then came the real twist. Reports started surfacing that Charleston might have gone too far behind the scenes, allegedly filing multiple false police reports tied to Boosie's name. When that rumor spread, the internet exploded. People started asking, wait, did Charleston actually try to get Boosie locked up again? He denied it, of course. But clips from his own streams started circulating where he bragged about talking to the feds and making calls. That's when even some of his loyal followers started backing away. And as the heat turned up, Boosie stayed silent. Not a word. That silence was power. Because while Charleston was busy trying to make it all about him, Boosie was rebuilding his image in real time. He went back to the studio. He started dropping freestyles from his home studio, raw and unfiltered. One track in particular, Still Standing, hit millions of views within days. It wasn't just a song, it was a message. Every bar sounded like therapy. Every verse like a confession. He rapped about betrayal, faith, fake friends, and finding strength in pain. And in the outro, he said quietly, "You can't destroy what God already blessed." That one line hit the internet like lightning. Clips of fans quoting it, TikToks using the audio, interviews breaking it down. Boosie had flipped the whole narrative. By summer 2024, the story had changed. Charleston White, once known for being the loudest troll in the room, was now being called out by everybody, even people who used to cheer him on. Influencers started saying they wouldn't share his clips anymore. Podcasts stopped inviting him. Brands distanced themselves. Even his social pages started facing restrictions after multiple reports of targeted harassment. Charleston tried to fight back, but the damage was done. He went live again, yelling into his phone about how people were turning soft and forgetting who kept it real. But you could hear it in his voice, that desperation creeping in. The views weren't climbing like before. The comment sections were flooded with Boosie supporters. Then Boosie made his move. He dropped a second interview, calm, confident, and completely unbothered. When asked about Charleston White, Boosie smiled and said, "You don't argue with fools. You just let time do the talking." The room went silent. That line went viral instantly. Behind the scenes, though, insiders say Boosie wasn't just praying and rapping. He was planning, quietly linking up with other artists and community leaders, setting up projects to support kids in Baton Rouge. He was using his platform to give back. While Charleston was going viral for hate, Boosie was going viral for growth. That's when the power dynamic flipped. For the first time, Charleston wasn't the one controlling the conversation, Boosie was. News outlets started praising his maturity. Even critics who once clowned him admitted he'd grown. And while Boosie's faith and family image got stronger, Charleston's reputation took a nosedive. One of the most viral moments came when a young fan approached Boosie at an event, crying while saying, "You showed us that being real don't mean being reckless." Boosie hugged him, smiled, and said, "You don't fight hate with hate. You fight it by surviving." That clip had millions of views in hours. Meanwhile, Charleston tried to double down one last time. He started claiming Boosie was faking his piece, that it was all PR talk. But by then, no one cared. The internet had moved on. The same algorithm that once fed his chaos was now burying it. Then came the final hit. Boosie announced a new documentary titled Faith Over Fame, The Boosie Story. It promised to tell his life from the streets to stardom, to struggle and survival. And fans immediately noticed what was missing. Not a single mention of Charleston White. Boosie had erased him